Foreign buyers return to Australian property. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. We're going to have a look at this article from ABC which is discussing, cashed up foreign buyers still seek Australian property, but are they really to blame for price rises? Now, the reason that question is asked is, because, I'll show you this chart here, foreign investment in Australian property is quite significant. Often you'll see people will say, it's Chinese investment is driving it up, but then you have people claim, no. That's the R word. There's more money coming from the UK, more foreign investment coming from the US, which is true. But if you look at the actual, where that money is going, that's in much bigger chunks, where the average investment from China was, hundreds of thousands of dollars when you averaged it all out. What was happening? You had big mining investments compared to small little investments. Where were the small little investments going? Well, have a look at this chart. This black line here shows the Foreign Investment Review Board approvals of established homes. And the black line, that's the red. Approval of new housing is the blue bar. And the approval of investment in new housing as a share of Australian Bureau of Statistics residential building approvals. That's the black line. See how that black line nearly touched 100% back in 14, 15, 16, 17. See there? How that was the peak. That's building approvals here in Australia for foreign investors. I've seen it. Back then, I was talking to clients who were putting together proposals where it was entirely based on Chinese money coming in to make the project feasible. That was what it was. So, yeah, there's a reason why foreign investors are having an impact on Australia. What do you think is going to, on Australian housing, what do you think is going to affect the average person more? A Bechtel job up in Moranbah for a mine, or over in WA, Wheatstone's one of these big projects, or a whole bunch of people coming and buying the same houses and apartments you want to buy? What do you think will affect the average punter more? So, let's look at this. While COVID border closures hamper Australian property sales to international buyers, many Australians still struggle to break into the market because of rising house prices. So let's look at the key points. CoreLogic data shows dwelling values rose 20.3% over the year, the highest annual hike since 1989. 20%. But you've got to remember, we're coming off a drop. That's why these figures are going to seem so impressive. A real estate agent said Australian properties give international buyers a sense of certainty and security. Even with all of the media exposures or, the government crackdowns, Australia is still a better place than a lot of countries in the world, everyone. I know people don't like to hear that, but you've got to put it in perspective. CoreLogic says international buyers' demand for Australian houses has dropped over the past 6 years. So it has gone down and we have seen that. But it was so insanely high, like I showed you in that chart. So, is this proof overseas buyers are not to blame for inflated dwelling costs in Australia? So, it may come as a surprise to some, but the Foreign Investment Review Board latest survey shows that overseas buyers' purchasing activity has hit record lows, with residential real estate approvals for foreigners falling from 40,000 to 1516 to 7,056 this year. And CoreLogic's research director, Tim Lawless, says foreign buyers have comprised a consistently smaller portion of residential housing demand in Australia over the past 5 or 6 years. However, for some domestic buyers seeking a home in Australia, it's still not smooth sailing, with agents blatantly preferring foreign money. Well, can you blame them? The agents, their job, it's not to be touchy-feely, it's not to be nice, it's not to be your friend. Their job is to sell the property for as much money as they can because they want to maximize their return on the time that they're spending on it. Now, sure, compared to other professions that require more work, like YouTubing, which is a very hard career, real estate agents is probably much easier. Much easier. Don't get me wrong. Most agents don't make that much money. It's a tough gig. Pretty thankless gig, too, to be honest. Anyway, Cam Mai Tran Smith, okay, and her husband, we'll call her Cam, recently bought their first home in the Greater Sydney suburb of Peakhurst, but they missed out on so many properties that they lost count. The couple inspected 3 to 5 properties every Saturday for a year before they made their purchase. We felt exhausted and wanted to give up at times because prices were bizarre. The latest statistics from CoreLogic showed dwelling values in Australia had risen 20.3%. Yep, we've seen that. So she says some real estate agents neglected her family in favour of overseas buyers. Despite the relief of having ended their house hunt, the Transmiths said some house inspections were bad experiences. A real estate agent gave us a cold shoulder at a property viewing in Hurstville, but treated foreign families with a completely different attitude, she said. The agent was very enthusiastic and said to them, "Welcome to your new home." Nog D, who migrated from Vietnam 15 years ago, said that at first real estate agents were highly enthusiastic during house inspections. Some real estate agents thought we were Chinese and were chasing us like hounds at first, he said. The enthusiasm gradually cooled down, though once they found out where we were from. There you go. So you're Aussies now. Oh, boy. That's it. I mean, they're chasing the money. Jeremy Tran's clients favour Australian properties for their sense of certainty and security. Real estate agent Jeremy Tran says he treats all clients equally regardless of their origin. However, Mr. Tran, who specialises in selling Australian real estate to Southeast Asian buyers, claims there are many advantages in dealing with overseas clients. Their finances are firm and solid, and they're willing to buy and make quick decisions. Many overseas buyers deal in cash, and cash buyers usually attract agents due to prompt exchanges and ease of settlements. Mr. Tran, who has more than 10 years' experience in dealing with international buyers, says owning Australian property gives his clientele a sense of certainty and security. Because of its stable economy and legal system, Australia is such a safe haven for preserving wealth and comprehensive protection for property owners from all over the world. Our policies are favourable for overseas buyers who want to invest in Australian properties, while the purchasing procedures are simple and easy. The salesman highlights that Australia's geopolitical location is another reason why his clients are drawn to the nation's property market. We're the closest developed country to Asia, where the majority of wealthy investors are, mainland China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Indonesia and Vietnam, he said. So foreign demand eases, but prices are still rising. Mr. Tran says his overseas clientele's interest in Australian property has remained strong during the pandemic, but many are still waiting for border reopenings to close deals. He said he had to pivot his target demographic towards first home buyers over the past 2 years. Many first home buyers are migrants who recently acquired their PR, and they are highly motivated by their new access to government support packages and benefits for first home buyers. CoreLogic's Mr. Lawless said, "It is owner-occupiers driving housing demand." So we're like the apes pushing up the GME, guys. We're no different here in Australia. I can't say I'm surprised. Record low mortgage rates have been a key factor in boosting housing demand, but also a higher rate of household savings has contributed to the ability to save a deposit, Mr. Lawless said. So, well, let's have a bit of a talk about this one, guys. So what we're seeing here is the housing bubble, and it's in detached housing and significantly in detached housing and in regional areas is, well, continuing to grow, and it's bubbled up. And actually, I'm going to jump here and just highlight how big this is. This is national housing there. Look at that growth, guys. Okay, this is capital cities. You can see the growth there, how high it's gone up. Because, you know, we did dip a little bit, and it's grown. And then if we go, we'll dig in a bit deeper, we'll look at, well, I need to show this one, New South Wales Regional. Maramba, guys. I mean, look at that. Look at that. What we're going to see, what I suspect we'll see, is, well, we'll see the first home buyers are starting to drop off. Investors are starting to come back in. There's calls now for increased migration. 2 million people over a few years to address the labour shortages that we have here in Australia, the skilled shortages, even though they're in jobs you would imagine you could train people who already reside here to do, but don't worry about that. We can see it opening up again, and there'll be increased demand for foreign investors here in Australia. I think, if anything, Evergrande is going to scare more people and really paint a better picture for Australia. So what do you think will happen to property? Remember when the RBA was modeling a 40% decline? Every bank, every article was about 10, 15, 20% decline. I think that was just to spook the government into stimulating the economy. Well, guys, if there's another video I'd like you to watch. This one here, Chinese flee the Aussie property market. Check that video out. This is where I go through the stats, at the time of the Foreign Investment Review Board, showing you how more money is coming from China than other places into property. Take care. I'll see you next time.